On today's episode of PJ and the Beard, we're going to show you all the gear that's part of our It's Electra series.
Right, and if you want to know more about some of the backstory, the circuit itself, and why we're doing it and all that, check out the series premiere. There's plenty of information, a lot of great guests, a lot of great people that help us out with that. So we're going to try not to repeat that and do this kind of quickly. So for the series, we're going to start with the kind of the history a little bit. So in the season premiere, Josh Scott went through a lot of history of how we got to this circuit. So we decided we would include those pedals. But even before I talked to Josh, I talked to Joe Gore. And Joe Gore was talking to me a little bit about circuits, and he mentioned treble boosters. They don't really kind of fall into this. But it was one of those things where you're like, well, we've never tried that. We don't know what that is. So we should try a treble booster.
Right. So Mr. Christ sent us the Tombstone treble boosts, and we did it. We were afraid, but we did it, and we really liked it.
Tombstone from 37 FX was our first treble booster. It's really cool.
It is.
Yeah, we really like that, and thanks to Doug Chris for that. And so now we jump to the year 1966. You have the Astrotone or the CMS Fuzz being the first time that we see two diodes after transistor, silicon transistor in this case. That pedal's really, really hard to find, really, really expensive. So we reached out to Analogman. He helped us out a little bit with his version of the Astrotone, which actually uses, I believe, he has transistors that are the same that's in that, like the codes match up and stuff. And so the Astrotone Fuzz from Analogman. So jump forward a year to 1967. Josh tells a story, so I'm not going to. LPB1, Electro Harmonix. We're going to have that in the series because we have to know.
Josh didn't mention that was my birth year, but I'm okay with that. I'll be fine. So now we're jumping to 1976. The MXR Distortion Plus shows up on the scene, and it is the first pedal with hard clipping and an op amp. And this one's mine.
So those are the pedals that we're going to do kind of historical leading up to this. And so really what seems to have happened, Electra takes those hard clippers and takes that nice clean boost with a transistor and kind of melds those together. And so now let's jump into the Electra pedals that are going to be in the series. I have to start with the speaker cranker. There's a card up here. We did a full episode on that. This is kind of the pedal that kind of started this whole rabbit hole. And one of our viewers was really kind and Mike Roadblock, I believe it was. So shout out to him for starting all this madness. So speaker cranker. What do you got?
Moving on to the Scattered Abroad Guitar Works, Ryland Morgan, the Hungry Panda. In the other episode, we mentioned that was the first time we even heard the term Electra Distortion. So we did an episode about this, and this was also involved in the origins of this series. And then we have the Emerson M Drive, a very popular pedal that we look forward to diving into to check out the circuit and see how it plays well with others and match it up with some things.
So Jamie Stillman from Earthquaker joined us in the premiere. Had some great insight. Another guy that joined us was Nick Greer from Greer Amps. And so Nick was kind enough, I believe, built in his basement. There's even a note about Electra in here.
Right.
Built, sent over to me. Really appreciate it. Black fuzz based on the Electra Distortion circuit, obviously, because we're including that. Nick has, I think, over the years, has had several different variations of that circuit. He talks a lot about that in the video. Another pedal from Greer Amps that I don't think they make anymore, the Getter Stomp. Another Electra Distortion kind of thing, but now we have a tone and we have a gain. We also got in the Tomahawk by Greer Amps, not Electra Distortion. We also got in very popular pedal, the Lightspeed. Again, not an Electra Distortion, but what we know is that Electra Distortion pedals pair very well with other pedals. And so both this and the Tomahawk, kind of a tweedish thing in this low transparent overdrive. Is that right? I haven't played enough to say
I'd
that.
say so. It's the buzzword, right?
Right. So, yeah. Pedals that we can pair with these.
Right.
But yeah, the Black Fuzz.
So moving on to our good friend Tim Lewis from TL Pedals. He was kind enough to send us this Kanata. Is that right? Kanata.
We've taken
Potato, patata. Kanata.
Right. It's an awesome name. I'm just not sure we pronounce it right.
Right.
But anyway, move on.
Yeah. So I played this. It was great.
Mentioned earlier, I talked to Joe Gore. Finnish King Audio was kind enough to help us get in his gross distortion for the series, and this might be the mother of all.
Might be the Swiss Army knife.
So we don't like to talk about them much in this episode, right? But I will say, this is 12 diodes. This is 12 diodes. You can select different diodes with those buttons, or those knobs. Anyway, the gross distortion.
So another person that showed up in the premiere was Steve Higdon. He was very generous with his time. The Beard spent a lot of time talking to him, gave us a lot of historical knowledge about the circuit and other things to do with St. Louis music. And he was kind enough to send us this Electra MPC box, which in the clip I played, I put the phaser in here, and it sounded great. And keeping with the Electra Distortion theme, I played it with the Hungry Panda.
So last but not least, in the Electra Distortion kind of circuits is Lovepedal. And Lovepedal, if you watch the premiere, they have a lot. The ones that we have, first of all, the Gold Chula. So thank you, Josh Smith, right? Now he had nothing to do with the pedal, but like we know about it through him.
Right.
The Champ, leather Electra Distortion based. I feel bad saying that now because now that we know more from the season premiere.
Right.
Now that we know that it's not just really, it's not a clone or whatever.
Right.
And then this probably, there's an episode on the channel for this pedal. I don't know that we would include it, but this is the Vintage Modern by Lovepedal. And the vintage side is really just a Cot 50. There's a Cot 50 in here. Maybe a little, because it looks like it has two knobs, but same kind of thing going on in that. So that kind of finishes up the pedals that are in that part of the series. Mm-hmm. There are some not Electra Distortion pedals, but some Electra branded pedals that we want to include. Right. So we have an Electra Overdrive with one knob, made in Japan. I love the look of this pedal, by the way, and one of the weirdest switches I've ever seen. Yes. So we have that, and then
we have the Electra Overdrive made in China. And if you do, like you said, watch the premiere, you'll hear a little bit of the delineation of why two pedals, same name, very different. Overdrive is 2 words on this one, so very different pedal.
Very different pedal. 3 knobs.
Right.
All right.
But in the opening, I use the word gear, and I use the word gear very intentionally because we usually use pedals. Because part of the deep dive into the rabbit hole.
Oh, yes.
This was purchased. It is the Electra MPC guitar that in the back, I already showed you the pedal that was built, but in the back is where the cartridges go. You can put 2 cartridges in here, powered by a 9-volt battery that screams for mercy whenever you turn it on. But a really interesting guitar. We're going to get more into it, how you engage the cartridges, what the controls are. But this is where it all happens, and the Beard's going to show you what goes inside here. We've referred to it already.
So kind of a series maybe within a series, right? So like a mini series as part of this series is going to be exploring those modules. Mm-hmm. We have 2 ways to do that. We actually have the guitar. Another way to do that would be the box that Steve Higdon made. It changes things up a little bit because the modules would go into the guitar pre-volume knob, I think. And then this would be post-volume knob. So it might change things up a little bit.
And maybe we'll compare. Maybe we'll put the same module in each one.
Which would be interesting.
Yeah.
So what modules? Well, right now, as of shooting this, and there's some feelers out there, some things going on. We hope to have some more in. We have things like the MPC 5 Power Overdrive. Not that you can really see these, and I'm going to hit the mic.
We could just be holding up Nintendo cartridges, but
right.
These are actually MPCs.
MPC 9, the Octave Box, the MPC 12 compressor. That's a great compressor. Mm. The MPC 1 phaser.
That sounded really good.
That sounds really good.
In here, and probably in the guitar
in
as
the
well.
Guitar too, yeah.
Yeah.
MPC 2, the Dynamic Fuzz. And so those, I think, are the actual MPC cartridges we have right now. Then, interesting, Steve not only sent us the box, but he sent us a lot of these to use. And he has some interesting ones, like here's the fuzz face. All right, so this is a fuzz face circuit that well, there's a story behind it we'll tell maybe when we do that box. The Thorny Overdrive, which sounds really good. The Organ Overdrive. Actually, was it the Organ Overdrive or the Thorny? One of these two I really liked. One of my favorite boxes is the analog delay that he made to go in this. And then RFO Electronics was kind enough to send us his 3D printed El Mo Overdrive for MPC by RFO Electronics. So he sent us one of these to try out too. And actually, I put this in the Octave Box in the MPC guitar and took it for a spin. That's everything that's going to be in the series. The pedals, the guitars, the modules. A lot coming up. We have a lot to record.
We do.
Special thanks to everybody that's engaged with us. You can see those on the opening slide. We mentioned them all by name in the beginning of the series premiere. We appreciate their help to no end. And I think with that, just a thank you to everybody taking the time to subscribe and click notification bell. Hit the like button, leave comments down below. Let us know what you know. Like if there's other Electra Distortion pedals that we're missing, Put them in the comments. If you have some of the boxes that we're missing and you want to help us out, lend them to us or whatever, let us know down in the comments. We love when you engage with us. And I think with that,
I'm PJ on behalf of the Beard, reminding you, no matter what you hear, you never have too much gear. Even if they're in cartridge forms. And for the cartridges, we have